Arab terrorism should be combated if and when it hits the United States?
I think you treat Arab terrorism like you treat any other terrorism. If it's a crime, you treat it as a crime. If an act of terrorism is performed in this state, in this country, we have the laws to punish that crime. All right, well, now you're me.
You want to turn the volume up for whoever's operating now? Can you hear me now? I'm going to read that Constitution again. Go ahead.
There have been a number of acts that might be called either Arab terrorism or Jewish terrorism in this country. There have been attacks on synagogues. There have been 3 attacks in the last year on the headquarters of what is the Arab-American equivalent of the B'nai B'rith Anti-Defamation League. A man was killed in Orange County a few months ago. In each one of those cases, the answer to them is action by the authorities, the FBI, the police department, whoever has the jurisdiction. The action is not to rebel against Arab Americans or to rebel against Jewish Americans because a crime has been committed. Now, with respect to terrorism of the kind that took place in the Achille Lauro or in the Rome or Vienna airports, it seems to me that you cannot justify what the Israelis have done. If 3 Israelis are killed in Cyprus, you don't mount a bombing raid on the country of Tunisia and kill 65 people, including a number of Tunisians. It seems to me the United States should not adopt that concept that we are going to wipe out a city or wipe out a block, as the Philadelphia police did when they had a group of radicals holed up in a building and they bombed the whole block and destroyed that block. We can't adopt that principle. The concept of American defense for anything is that you will respond to force with equivalent force, but you won't kill 10 people to get at the one guilty party. Now, that's a handicap under our system of government, perhaps, in combating organized terrorism as it is against combating organized crime. But I would apply the same standard to an act of violence committed because of a racially motivated or a nationally motivated crime as I would to the person that commits an act of murder for sexual reasons or for robbery or for drug-related crimes. If we can handle it that way in this country, we ought to, and I think we can.
Rabbi Kahane, 4 minutes to answer.
On this question, I think that I don't differ greatly, except one point, and it's a major point. How does one convince an Arab state not to give terrorist bases and funds and training? Do you think that if Tunis or Libya allow the Palestinians bases in their country, that they will be convinced to stop that if Israel or America or someone really bombs the terrorist bases? What's the incentive? I think that it's intellectually simple for you to sit here and talk about the moral question, the immoral question. I would venture to say that, God forbid, in the near future, terrorists, because they are emboldened by Ronald Reagan, who speaks loudly and carries a big twig. I think that you can pass that. I think that if, God forbid, because of the weakness of America, as it is perceived in the Middle East, and take it from me, I live there, and America is conceived and perceived as a paper tiger. If there will be bombs in supermarkets in this country, will you be so moral? Will you be so careful about saying, well, we really should be careful in how we act, react? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. We certainly, when we bombed, and I say it again, Germany with 1,000 bombers a night, that might be conceived by liberal moderate people as an overreaction. I don't know. I think that to put an end to Nazi Germany, there was nothing that was not allowed to be done. Gaddafi has no incentive to put an end to terrorism until his country, his interest, his people are bloodied. Then they will rise up and throw the Palestinians out, because despite what you say, no Arabs want to die for Palestine.
2 minutes, Mr. McCloskey.
I don't find anything in that comment to reply to. I think that the whole concept that you bomb a country because of what a few individuals do is just dead wrong. If I understand that's what you're advocating, that somehow there'd be an attack on Libya because of the utility Loro, or because of those attacks on the 2 airports having received some assistance out of Libya. That again defines the difference between us. There is no reason to go to war. There are other steps that can be taken against Libya, but the steps that ought to be taken are to find the individual terrorists and their chain of command and extinguish those people. I have no problem, if the guilt can be determined, of punishing those individuals. But to say that I can remember when Israel invaded Lebanon, you remember what they said their reason was? That the PLO had attempted to assassinate their ambassador in London. It later turned out that Abu Nidal, a man who had threatened to assassinate Yasser Arafat and to assassinate anyone in the peace process, had attempted to assassinate the Israeli ambassador, as he later did assassinate 2 of the Arab moderates who urged the recognition of Israel. And I'm afraid that this concept of punishing a country, or bombing a city, or bombing an area, or bulldozing a village because of an act of terrorism just creates that same cycle again.
Next question.